I'm a dreamer and I'll always be. With my head up, I will chase my destiny. I'm a dreamer and I'll always be. With my head up, I will chase my destiny. My heart is steadfast, my spirit strong. I will chase my passion all life long. I won't look back, I'll push ahead. I'll make the most of every trend. I'm a dreamer and I'll always be. With my hands up, I will chase my destiny.
Hello, good morning, happy Wednesday. How is everybody doing? We were just listening to Johnny, who did a wonderful what a song for us, our theme song for Nifty Dreamers. So that was Johnny, and my cat today is joining us. His name is Kitty. So hopefully he won't get in our way. Today we have a wonderful guest, Fer. She is a wonderful artist, and we're going to talk to her about everything going on with our ArtPacksIO, and it's just going to be a great show. So I am going to go ahead and bring her up and welcome her to our show. Hello, Fer. Nice to see you.
Hi, V. Good to see you too. How are you today?
Oh, it is a Wednesday, and I'm happy to be here. And this is always fun. It takes me away from life, and I just get to focus on one thing because, we as multitaskers tend to do 5 things at once, and then we get dragged away, right? Yes. I mean, you are the major multitasker, and you are so busy. And so, but we're so excited to have you. I just we wanted to talk about you as an artist and introduce you to our community, because you are part of our community.
Yes.
And, everyone, welcome. And let's see if we have anybody in our comments yet. Sometimes we get people coming in. And so we've got some people watching online. So welcome. And if you get a chance to watch this later, thank you. And so Fer, you're in Brazil, right now?
Yes.
Your home country.
Oh my God, that's the blessing of working remote. My son is on school holidays, so instead of putting him on summer camp, I booked flights, and here I am in Brazil. So it's supposed to be winter here, but as you can see, it's not really cold. At my parents'
never
house.
Cold there, right?
It can get cold, but never freezing really. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's not too bad, but it feels like summer. It's like madness. I don't really know what's happening, but we're here and it's all good. So working from my parents' house while my son is playing with the family.
That is really a fortunate thing that we're able to do that nowadays. Because I know, sorry, I'm so hot. It's hot in Colorado. I don't know why. Well, it's summer, but in the mountains, it normally doesn't get over like 80 degrees. And yesterday it was 87.
Wow.
And at 6,800 feet is my elevation.
Wow.
So I can't translate that to meters, but it's really hot. We're near Pikes Peak, so it's
should be cool.
It should be cooler, and it's not. So I'm hoping that it'll cool down. So, your art, you have been an artist tell us a little bit about your history and how you became an artist. We're all on the edge of our seats wanting to know.
Okay, so let me know if I'm rambling, so interrupt me anytime. So my name is, oops.
There you are. I pushed the wrong button. No, sorry.
So my name is Fer, it's short for Fernanda. I'm originally from Brazil. I currently live in the United States. I'm also a citizen in the US by now. But I've been, of course, every artist have been an artist since they were a kid. right? And then we forget. So along the way, I forgot, and I didn't believe I could actually be an artist for, like professionally. So I went to marketing school, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't know about me. So I wasn't always an artist. Like, I had a career in corporate, I did marketing, I did advertising, and I was doing really well. And in my early 20s, I was married to an Australian, and he got transferred to the United States. And we lived in Jersey, right outside Manhattan. So I went to the Art Students League, which was, let me turn my off, because otherwise it's going to keep beeping here. Like, we forget to do those things, right?
Oh, I know. Well, like I said, we multitask.
So I went to the Art Students League, excuse me, which I'm not sure how many people are familiar with, but it is a very nice school for arts in New York. And the good thing about that is that I didn't need to have
I didn't get
oh my
that.
God,
Could you try again?
Siri. Did you hear Siri? She's listening to me. Siri, I don't want to talk to you. Anyway, I tried to put the do not
mute.
disturb, and Siri decided to enter the conversation because, like, we have that in our lives, right?
Right.
But anyway, when I moved to the States, the first time I wasn't allowed to go to a formal school for a degree. I wasn't allowed to work. So my husband at the time, I had an L2 visa. I was the wife of someone transferred. So not someone that was supposed to stay at home and do nothing. Not me.
Right.
So I went to that Students League, and the thing there is that you pay on a monthly basis and you stay as long as you want. So I was there for 3 years. I studied under the tuition of Mr. Philip Sherrod. He's a fabulous painter, passed recently. So unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but his art is in museums. He's absolutely fascinating. Very, very tough man. So my art career started a little bit off because it wasn't something that I fully planned.
Right.
But as soon as I got there, I started winning awards. I was exhibiting in Soho, and I have that was over 20 years ago, and I have a very long experience and a very long resume. I don't usually talk about that because I don't like to self-promote, but if you
we want to know.
it's like I'm much better at
I know that's that, but this is my job to try to pull it out of you. To have you talk about yourself. So no, I mean, can you believe though, 20 years ago, that was like 2000, like year 2000. That's crazy. It seems like yesterday, right?
Oh my God. And that's exactly that. It was in the year 2000 that we moved to the States. And oh my God, it changed my life completely because after I went for art, I had to quit my marketing career. And when, when we divorced, is like I divorced my first husband some 10, 15 years ago. And I couldn't go back to marketing because I had been out of that industry for 10 years.
Right.
So you have this gap, and it's like it's impossible to go back to corporate when you have such a long gap.
Right. So, and they're going, where were you?
Yes, exactly. What you say? Well, I got transferred to another country, and then I couldn't work, and then all of a sudden you're out of the loop.
Right.
So even after that, I went back to Brazil, and I had to push because I was like, okay, this is my life now. I have to commit into being an artist. And I tell people it's a very hard choice because making a living as an artist is not a simple job. It's very super complicated, and the least to do when you're a full-time artist is actually paint.
Yes.
You got to manage everything else, like from marketing, from inventory, from everything else. And when you have time,
when do you have time to create?
Yes, it's very, very, very complicated. But I was fortunate enough that my early days in art, I was able to. I received very, very good recognition. I have exhibitions in all over the world, from being in the States, and then my ex being from Australia. So I exhibited in Australia, I exhibited in Brazil, which is my home country, and then we moved to Europe. I exhibited in Europe. I have clients all over the world, from friends in Japan that collected my art. I
Right.
had a friend in South Africa that collected my art.
No,
Nice
sorry.
cat. I love cats. I love cats. I miss my cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like I've been a bit, like everywhere. So of course, with a lot of ups and downs, and that's something I like to tell artists that, you know, if you have an opportunity to keep something that is a steady income on the side, you're going to be much better mentally and emotionally, because art is not going to be such a burden to, make sure you pay your bills,
Yeah. Yes, that, I had my partner Tim, he gave me the opportunity when he was working to not have a full-time job, quote unquote. I mean, I did do other things, but it wasn't a steady income. But he took care of that. So that gave me an opportunity almost for 2 years to just do art and find what my style was, because I was in the marketing, and as you know, I have a master's in educational technology. So it was I just decided to be an artist. Or to call myself an artist. Like you said, we've always been an artist.
Yeah.
It's whether you own it or not.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, so you have been doing NFT stuff. When did you get involved in that? Like a couple of years ago?
That was, about 2 years ago. And it started out of, I was having an exhibition in South Carolina where I was living recently. And that show was a museum solo exhibition.
Nice. I want to hear about that. I mean, who gets a solo exhibition?
I know, like, I don't know where my mind was that I decided that I wanted to do that. But I was living in South Carolina, and it's a very traditional and not very, out there. So
forward thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So me coming from a traditional school where you paint nudes, that was, how I was educated in the Art Students League. We had a model, and that's all I did for 3 years was painting nudes. That's all I did. And I love it. But of course, I had moved towards landscapes because that's easier to sell.
Right.
So there I am in South Carolina painting landscapes, and I was co-owner at a gallery. I had, somewhat okay clientele. And then one day I was like, I really miss painting nudes. So I painted some, nude art. And I was criticized. Everyone was like, you can't be painting nudes. You're going to get our clients away from our gallery. You can't be posting that on your social media. And I was like, what do I do with these people? So I painted. I was like, you don't tell me what I can or cannot paint, right?
Right.
So I created this piece that is like holding the middle finger. And I am, it's me with my glasses. If you look at the painting, you recognize it. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to put that information out there because, like, I'm not going to take that, right?
Right.
And I figured that was going to cause way more problems. And the piece got selected to a juried show. So when that happened, I was like, oh, I think we have work to do here, So I decided to start showing that area, that especially like at the time I had a stepdaughter, teenager. And I realized that what we were missing was role models that we could look up to. Because no one would tell a man that he couldn't paint a nude.
Right.
But I wasn't allowed, right? So I decided to paint powerful women in the region, women that were doing something that were, like role models. So I had the first woman that I painted, she's a head person in a construction field.
Oh, good.
So she created a chapter for women in construction, and she's just like amazing. Like she's a bread maker in the family. Her husband's a stay-at-home dad. It's completely reverse roles to the traditional, like concept that we have in our mind. So I painted all those kinds of women. And they are just like really, really fascinating stories, super inspiring women. And I put together a show that was 40 local inspiring women called Like a Girl Dare to Dream. And I'm sorry about the dogs, like this is,
that's
I don't know if
okay.
you can through, but Brazil is quite loud. It's either,
Life happens.
oh my God, it's either a dog barking or it's a truck coming by,
That's
or,
right.
like, it's an island. It should be quiet, but that's how it goes here.
That's right.
So we did all those women, and I was like, I want this exhibition to happen at the City Gallery, which is a museum in the waterfront in Charleston that does rotating shows. And I looked at the place, like, because that's where they had my middle finger piece, right? So,
Right.
like, this place is perfect, 2 stories, the layout was gorgeous, and I knew that they rotate shows.
Right.
So I was like, okay, let me check how to do this. So I applied, and I wasn't, if they accept, that's great. If they don't, I'll keep looking for opportunities, like maybe a hotel, maybe something. But I wanted to put that show together.
Right.
And it happened like in the middle of the pandemic. They called me and they say, listen, we have an opening. Are you ready to show? And I say, well, I have 30 something ready. But my goal is 40. I have them started. It took me 2 years to paint all those people.
Oh, wow.
It was insane. Like, finding the woman itself was like a huge, complicated approach, and getting them to accept to be painting and all of this. So it wasn't simple.
And did you paint them nude?
No, they were, and that's like, and then there's something that is really cool. Like, I was interviewed by a local newspaper, like the Post and Courier, the biggest newspaper there.
Right.
And they interviewed me, and the person who did the article, she was like, we usually see women in the museums and they're naked and they're painted by men.
Yes.
So right now we have a situation where the women are painted in their, like, work clothes or however they feel empowered, and they're painted by a woman and they're hanging in a museum, like, it's a completely different scenario. So she even brought up that piece that I find hysterical. It's an old Renaissance piece from France. And they have, I forget maybe Manet, I don't remember, but there's like this guys having a picnic, and they're dressed in suits, and there's women naked sitting around. It's like, why? It's like, seriously, what were you thinking?
Right.
So, women are usually portrayed naked, and the men take the, like the, whatever position that they're.
Yeah, the power play.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wasn't sure I was going to be selected, but it turned out, they called, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I arrived and I painted the last piece in the museum, and we made it a deal that people would come and see me working.
Oh, sure, of course. That's awesome. So
we use that to promote how, like, to see the artists at work and all of that. So the museum show was absolutely amazing. I got tons of press because of that. I was on the television on and off, like, during the whole time, and I had all newspapers, all magazines. They all covered somehow, because I was doing something that was beneficial for the community.
Right.
I had schools bringing their kids to see. I had people walking in, because it wasn't just the painting. I had someone write a bio and share their stories. I actually printed a book.
Nice.
So
make a great coffee table book.
Yes, it's beautiful, and it has like these inspiring stories about all these women. Like,
yes,
for me, like, one example, just to give you an idea how amazing they are. One is firefighter chief. She's the chief of the station. Was the first firefighter female in South Carolina. She fostered 28 children, adopted 4 of them besides her own.
Wow! Wow!
Yeah, like,
that's amazing. Like, I mean, talking about multitasking.
Oh my God. I meant, like, every time I heard the stories of each of them, I was like, this is unbelievable,
Yeah.
So I had people coming through the exhibition, reading each story while they looked at the painting, people leaving in tears, so touched about all of this. And the last piece of the exhibition was same size as everything, and I painted a silhouette with a reflective paint that is a mirror paint, and it was called "What's Your Story?" So after you saw everything, you look at yourself and picture, like, you could be like that as well. So it was
Mhm.
it was a very touching exhibition, and for me it's still the highlight of my career as an artist so far. But back to why that connects to NFT, right? Because that was your question.
Right, right.
So there I am, like I tried to be there as much as I could, because even though it was the pandemic, we had a great turnaround. People had
Yeah.
to book in advance, and this it was the most visited exhibition in a couple of
Oh,
years.
that's amazing.
It was amazing. So this gentleman comes in, and he asked me, he said, like, listen, I don't buy physical art, but do you have these pieces as NFTs?
Oh,
That
wow.
was the first time I heard the word, and I had the same reaction that everyone does, and goes like,
What's an
can
NFT?
you spell that again? So I actually had him spell, and I wrote that down, and I went to research what it was. And I said,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not ready for you, but I'll look it up. So I started researching, and I didn't buy it. Like I was like, what are these people doing? This sounds so wild. And, I said,
Right.
like, what, no. So it took me 5 months that I kept on researching, and people kept asking. So after the 10th time that someone asked me, do you have your art as NFTs? I was like, I
Right.
have to pay attention to this. I have to really look into that better.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it was when this my first collector, onboarding collector, how I call him, he funded a project that is called Kindred Hearts, and it's
Okay.
a charitable project. So it's linked to the giving block and all of this. So
Oh, okay.
they keep charities, and then part of the proceeds goes directly to the charities. And then he was like, well, I know you do a lot of fundraisers, you're involved in all of this, and I'm looking for artists to be part of this project. And then he explained me about the PFP projects that I had no idea. So he said, oh, we have this, it's generated. And instead of having like one artist and all these layers, I'm asking each artist to come up with a few layers, and we're going to put hearts together designed by all these artists. So I created a few layers. I sent, and the project is with like over 60 artists. So it's a very
Oh, nice.
interesting project. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So he hooked me there. He said like, it's a charitable project. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. Right. So,
Right.
and then from that moment I was hooked, because I got involved and I started learning about, like the whole community and how people, come together supporting each other as artists. And I love collecting, so I collected way more than I sold from day one.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, that's how I got into it. But yeah.
So somebody onboarded you as an artist. That's awesome. The
Yes.
collector onboarded you. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. I think going back to your exhibit, how long did it go for? How many weeks?
2 months.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So
was
that
a
was a
beautiful
long
show.
stretch. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you still have any of those paintings?
I have some, probably about 10 or 15. I
Okay.
tried, like, that's the hardest part of being an artist. I paid attention.
Right.
People loved it. Who paid for it?
Not a lot.
No, I paid for it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Funded the freaking
Yeah.
show. I went so broke because I was determined to make it happen.
Yeah.
It was the middle of the pandemic. No one wanted to sponsor an art show.
Right.
They were
right.
doing stuff that, like for food or, whatever was
Right.
actually necessary. So I had no sponsors. My plan was that I was going to get sponsors and give the art to the women. So it got to the point where I was like, okay, who wants to pay for costs? And I put a fundraiser together as well.
Right.
So I raised funds for 3 associations.
Oh, wow.
So the first option I gave was to sell the paintings and give the money.
Right.
A few paintings sold at the fundraiser. I got a bunch of people to donate smaller items, so the fundraiser would actually have more stuff. And we supported three different associations that support women in the South. And then I was like, well, if you want to have it, make an offer. Like the cost to make each painting is, I don't know, around $500 because they're large. I had frames, I had everything. So not everyone wanted to even contribute with that cost.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so sad. Because
Yeah.
I believe everyone has a story too, and I think that that was a major undertaking. I mean, 40.
God.
That's 2 years. That's crazy. But I mean, what an accomplishment! And you have that, to sit back and say, I did this, and
Oh, exactly.
yeah,
Like I'm super proud of having done that. But
right,
it's something that a lot of people don't understand what really is the struggle of being an artist. And it's like
right.
we create and we don't always get rewarded for that.
I know, right.
So it's like I see from all this time that I've been doing art, so few of my friends actually have a good living out of their art.
Right.
And usually, like they push on products, on prints. And I did all of that as well, but I got tired of managing retail. So I gave up.
Right.
But it is hard to create when it's just piling up against the wall, it's
Right. Well, and as that brings us to ArtPacks. That's a great lead in.
Absolutely.
Because when I found Nifty Dreams with Nick, I'm very critical, or not critical, that's not the right word I want to use. I'm very observant, and I look at things like, okay, I'll sit and wait and just examine and let things kind of play out. And Nick and I had a passion for open source because I was involved in open source in the early 2000s and was involved with some, whatever projects like that, and from people around the world. So that's always been part of my life. So when I saw Nick and his vision for Nifty Dreams, it was like, I think I can get behind this because he's been successful. He's got a track record. So, and then the crash happened. Yeah.
Oh my God. All the bumps in the roads that we hit.
Yes. So it's, with ArtPacks, I think, when he first talked about it, it was like, that's really kind of hitting the nail on the head, because it gives a tool for, and Doctor has a question, says, we're on the eve of ArtPack's first drop. Well, not traditionally, it's not the eve yet, but because I would be freaking out if it was the eve. Okay. So anyway, his question is, with all the work with this and all the other drops coming, can you still have time to create art? That was his question to you.
Barely. And I'll say, people ask me about my personal work, and I have not touched a brush physically in about 2 years.
Wow.
I just I can't, first of all, because I can't commit to putting another painting against the wall.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not selling another, if I'm not selling, I'm not creating physically. Right. So for my NFTs, now I have transitioned pretty much 100% to digital. So I create on Procreate, and still I rarely do any work that is my own, but every now and then I get invited for something, and that's when usually I create. So for instance, I had an exhibition in Milan last week.
Right. Tell us about that.
Yes, it was something that I find fascinating, right? We have with the NFTs, we have the option of having physical exhibitions.
Right.
So I was kindly invited by Odyssey, Pierre. His lead for Love is Louder. It's a community focused on LGBTQ+.
Right.
So first he invited me to create a piece for foundation work. He put a world together, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So because I was invited for that, I took the time and I created that piece and I delivered. Right. And I was like, okay, it's still sitting there, we haven't sold, but I created that piece and I was super proud. And then soon after,
I love that piece. It's great.
Yeah, so the foundation world is an underwater female couple, and it has the whole meaning of how hard it is to come out of the closet. So the love is heating, it's underwater, it has all of that, right?
Right.
And then he said, well, I'm inviting a few people now. I think the group is only 12 or 15. It's a small group.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, we got invited by Nympha to do an exhibition in Milan.
Wow.
And we're going to do a drop on Nympha. So it's also
nice.
my debut on Nympha, because like I wasn't in the platform. So you say like apply, put on your profile that you're part of the Love is Louder, and then they'll automatically accept because I'm curating the show, he said.
Right.
So I created that piece, which is I honestly think is one of my best pieces to date. It's two women and
Yeah,
they're
I love it. Let me try to,
floating.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to get that on here real fast to
Okay.
show people. So keep talking and I'll find it.
Yeah, so that's a comeback for the first piece, which is, that one is emerging love. So they're coming out of kind of like coming out of the closet with their love and, like showing in open space.
Right.
So that piece was exhibited in Milan last week. We're actually sponsored
So
by...
this one right here?
Yes, that one.
Okay.
That one. So it's...
That's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. So we actually had a sponsor, Sandrock. Gary, he paid for the physical, the reception, because we had some costs for it.
Right.
And it was just like really nice to be invited, because like as doctor said, like I don't really find time to do anything for myself. But when it's a request, like I'm invited for something, I will stop. I will skip a night's sleep or something. I will figure it out.
You'll make the time.
Yes, exactly. So I still create, but right now it's more like, if I have an opportunity, I will do it.
Mm-hmm.
If my art's moving, I'll create something to replace, because I like to have work available.
Right.
But most of the time, I'm now focused on curating and supporting other artists. I found out that I am happier selling for other people than I am for myself.
Well, that means a lot, I think. I mean, to recognize that, because a lot of people don't I mean, they try to fit it all in, and they really can't. You have to, time is it's a limited factor. We can't. And as a doctor said, we can't clone ourselves yet.
Oh my God.
We might be able to in the future, but I'm attempting with AI, okay? But yeah.
Yeah. So with the, with that path, just to circle back and see how we got to ArtPacks, right? So I started doing a bunch of curated galleries. So I would put a call for art in the community. I would select the art and put virtual galleries together and organize virtual events, just because I liked doing that. I was not getting commission on it. I was just like, trying to create something that I enjoyed.
Right.
And during that process, I had my Brazilian community. They were like, please, 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 can you represent us?
Wow.
That's how I got the Brazilian foundation world. It was not because it was my action. Like they said, can you please do it? And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I curated some people that I not only find their work amazing, but also they're good people, because I like to be dealing with nice people.
Of course.
I curated the world, and it was right when I was going to NFT NYC. The first piece to sell was collected by Cosimo de Medici.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. While I was
I want him to collect something for me.
Oh my God. Like I'm still hoping that he collects from me too, but I was so proud he collected from one of my artists,
Exactly. Yeah. That's the next best thing.
Yes. Oh my God. Like it was amazing. And we were in New York, and my artist was with me by chance.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So he was there and we were watching the presentation. He's texting me, where are you? Where are you? And I'm like, let me step out of this presentation. Then he was like, Cosimo just collected my piece. So, it was like this huge celebration.
Yeah, that's great.
So good. So I started doing that because people asked me to represent them. And it's something that, with my marketing background, it's something that I appreciate for others.
Right.
But I gave up on doing it for myself. You rarely see me sharing my art unless someone asks me to share somewhere.
Right. Right.
But I have all the links in my profile. People know I'm an artist, and if they want
Right.
to find it, it's all there available. You can
Yeah.
just search and
Yeah.
go and find it. So I still have my art, but
Yeah.
my focus is on sharing other people's work. So if you look at my timeline, it's all about like someone else's work.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
my pink tweets, not my own art. I have to be
Isn't
better.
it art packs? That's your pin tweet.
Right now, I put the call for art because I'm trying to select the artist for the second drop.
Right.
So back to ArtPax, right?
Yeah.
So I was in
But
New
it all
York.
goes together. It's
Well,
all
all
goes
goes
together. Yep.
Yeah. So Nick was aware that I was looking for a job. Left my second husband recently. It's going to be a year now. But with the move, it's like I consider myself almost a gypsy. I've been
Right.
It's
I
very
totally
hard.
get it. Yeah.
Oh my God, very hard to have a career. When I
Yeah.
was finally getting some traction in South Carolina, then I left and then I moved again. And I was like, oh my God, like I have to have I was like, I can't. I'm a single mom. I have a
Right.
kid that is dependent on me. It's like I cannot live without having, an income that
Something
I
coming
can
in.
support my
Yeah.
child. So I figured
Yeah.
out that I was looking for a job, and Nick heard about it. So there he was. I exchanged it this time. It was the third time that I was at NFT NYC. Completely different experience each time.
Right.
So this time I was like, I am going there and I'm coming back with a job.
Awesome.
That was my goal. I had a list of people I wanted to meet. I actually exchanged phone numbers before, and I was like, that's, where are you going? And I met almost everyone from that list. And Nick was in Dubai, texting me from the flight.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, I'm landing in a couple of hours. We can have dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I dropped whatever I was doing and I went to meet him at, he arrived from Dubai directly and then went to have dinner with me.
I remember because he totally forgot about NFT NYC. Sorry. Yeah. So, but it worked out because he was able to collaborate and,
He did the meetings with
yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah. It gave him an opportunity to, kind of relax and meet with you and, whomever.
No, it was great. So we sat together and he said, I heard you need a job and I want to learn more about your skills. And then I gave him some ideas of, my path and what I'm capable of. And that's when he asked, have you heard of NBA Top Shots? And I was like, no, never. No idea what you're talking about. So he had me.
We don't watch sports. I don't watch sports.
I'm not a sports person. I never heard of the project because I wasn't involved in the whole, when it launched, it wasn't my thing. I was already into the art part. I wasn't involved in the sports NFTs.
Right.
So it was interesting, but he was super patient, asked me, he explained a little bit. And then he was like, well, I've been waiting for a person that has the art vision, because he wanted an artist to run it, but also has the business skills.
Yes.
Because you can't really put something only artists are supposed to be creating.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We are not business people mostly, right?
Right.
But that is my background. And I love doing art, but my background is actually business,
Right.
So I was like, yeah, that sounds really interesting. So I did some research and then I sent him a message in the morning. I was like, okay, do you want to have breakfast? Because I'm ready to talk.
I have some questions for you.
Oh my God. No, it was like we had dinner and then in the morning he hired me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he said, okay, I'm going to put you as the lead strategist of this project. And from there, we left New York and we started doing daily meetings, which were supposed to be half an hour, and they stretched for 3 hours most of the time.
Right.
We built everything, even though it was based on NBA Top Shots, it's that is at sports, focus. So it's a completely different approach.
Right.
So we decided on the whole thing together, how to create the tiers and how to be able to create a format that would be appealing for art, that
Right.
would support the artist, but also be nice for the collectors. So
Right,
the
right.
collector has something to look up to. So yeah, so that's how we started with Art Packs, and we have about a month to launch. We haven't given the official date because
Right.
it's like, you know, like he has the technical part,
Right.
and he had some of it ready. So we are almost there, but
Yeah.
we are also still building the structure.
Oh, right, 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 right.
Yes, it's not like it
kind of
wasn't
like
ready. Now we're adding the art. It's building
right,
the platform is being built
right.
as we are curating and the artists are creating. We're doing everything so we can launch together. So I said, okay, let's keep it slightly flexible. We have a goal, but it might be, you know, like a week off or something. We don't know. Like it really
Right.
depends on making sure that we have everything ready.
Exactly.
So our goal is end of July, but we don't know for sure.
Right,
Let's
right.
test,
That's
make
a
sure
light.
it's also
Right,
smooth.
right. That could change. But I mean, I think that the dynamic of, you know, your background and being an artist and being on the ground and doing those things has
Yes.
just served you well to be where you are today. I mean, I think we all have our own paths, obviously, and things come up, and you know, I'm just amazed. I'm so happy for us, the Nifty Dreamers, to have you as, you know, the lead strategist, because I mean, you know, you're just dynamite. I love the fact that Nick chooses women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I love Nick regardless, but I love the fact that he's mindful about those things.
Oh, he was telling me like when we're putting the team together, and he was like, I'm very happy that the team is very balanced. Behind the scenes, people don't know, but he has guys, you know, Prabhu
Sure,
is the tech part, and then, you know, like, but the front, you know, like it's basically like it started just the two of us as, you know, like
Right.
people leading this project. Now we have you. I'm not sure if people are aware that you're supporting us as well. You're part of the team leading on marketing. Super
Thank
excited.
you. I appreciate that.
And I have my assistant Ria. She's actually the only reason I'm here. I'm not aware of this. Like I wasn't like I didn't really know Nick.
Right.
Wasn't very much in touch with him. And then she kept pushing my art to him and kept telling me that we had to meet. They're friends, and she's
a connector.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I met him actually the previous year in New York. I knew who he was. He had not collected from me yet, but I knew he was friends with Ria. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm going to interrupt his conversation. The annoying person said, like, can I take a selfie with you just so I can send to Ria? She's going to be happy. And it was super sweet because the first thing he asked was like, do you know about her grandmother? Because she was sick at the time. I was like, well, he's actually, you know, like a person that cares about people.
Yeah.
So that was
really does. He really
Yes.
does. I mean, that's not just to act for people.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh,
that
so
he does that regardless of it, you know. So
Yeah.
no, he's really got a kind heart. I miss my father a lot, and he was a really good person, and he reminds me a lot of Nick. You know, that their heart part.
That's nice. Definitely has a huge heart. And I tell people, I say like, he's very blunt. He's very direct.
Yes.
For me, like I love working with people like this for business because I know
Right.
exactly where I'm stepping. If
Exactly.
very, very clear.
Exactly.
For a lot of artists, that doesn't come around very nicely because artists most of the time need, you know, like the little tap in the head, you know, you're doing okay. And he doesn't do that.
Right.
And then people get a little lost because they're not expecting that kind of, you know, like
Yeah.
straight to the point talk. So it took me a little to get around and understand him. You know, like I was like, I don't know this guy. He's a little rough, you know. But then the more I got to know him, the more I was like, you know, like he has the biggest heart, super dedicated, and he really is focused on supporting the community.
Yes. He really wants to see this vision to the fruition.
Yes.
And so Art Packs is, and honestly, as I'm doing some research and stuff for what I'm doing with you guys for ArtPacks.
Yes.
No one is doing what we are doing. I mean, they're doing similar, but it's not, they don't have the edge of the gamification.
What I think is a big game changer here, when people join like a project or platform or anything, they put the art there and they have to go chase the sale.
Yeah. Still.
Here, yes, they still have to do it, even if the platform, like I really liked how Ninfa put a show together for us in Milan, like they supported
Right.
in that sense. But the sale is still like, I still have to push a lot to make sure that my piece gets sold. But what we have different here, which we put artists in a group. So we have the Genesis drop. It consists of 62 artists with the different tiers. And that's why, the tiers are so important. We have people that have worked really hard already. They have conquered a lot in the space. And those people, they get paid more because they also attract the sales for everyone else.
Right. Exactly.
And the thing is, they're not going to get their piece sold. They're going to get the group sold.
Exactly.
Someone buys a pack, and that's what is really cool about the gamification, right? You buy a pack, and you're going to get 5 pieces out of that group. You know the group, you know the pieces. You don't know what 5 pieces you're going to get.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I go back to collecting little... here, I don't know if they do that in the States, but you have like a booklet that you do on sports mostly, or, like another theme. And then you collect the pack that comes with 5 stickers that you put in that. So I go back to my childhood with that. Like you open, it's kind of like Pokemon for the kids.
Yes.
And it's like, what did I get? And then you celebrate what you got. It's like, wow, this is really cool. When you get something, might not be exactly what you wanted, but it's still inside a group that has been curated. So we're guaranteeing that we're delivering good quality.
Right.
We're guaranteeing that we're delivering legit artists, like, to an extent, like we do some research, we do some background check, but we're not going to knock on people's houses and say, like, who really are you?
Right.
But we do the extent of, making sure the person is not infringing copyright. We do reverse search on their images to make sure that it's not coming from another location.
Right.
So we do all that background check, which makes it very, very comforting for collectors.
Exactly.
So sometimes we collect and then we find out that the artist was a fraud. It's like, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Well, and that happened a lot, let's say a year ago. Not so much now, because those people, that rush, that gold rush,
when the sales were really, really strong, like people just try to take advantage of it. Yes.
Right.
But it's still a concern for collectors.
Oh, of course.
We want to make sure that we provide that comforting, when you're buying something. And so, like everyone that is inside that drop gets a percentage of the sales.
Right.
And that's where, like they don't have to separately sell their piece.
Right.
We're going to ask, of course, because we're stronger together. So that's why, like, I created that ArtPacks, the Genesis coming soon and all of this, and people are sharing. And then we're spreading the word. We're getting attention of everyone to come to us. So of course we have the current ecosystem that we have right now with collectors that people could be interested in collecting.
Right.
So we are going to allow list spots for communities and all of this. So people that are already there will be interested in purchasing.
Right.
But also, like I have like my vision for the long run. We may not get that far in the season 1 because we're still building. We're still proving that this system works.
Right.
So as Nick says, we start small and then we can get bigger. But my vision is that we can bring this to corporate. Like we can sell an entire collection to like a business or something. So in that way, we support a full group. It's not the artists trying to push alone on getting like that little like you don't have a strong voice by yourself.
I know.
So hard to get reached. So hard to get seen.
Yes.
So as a group, we push and we get the entire group successful in that
Right.
sense.
Well, and I like Nick's quote. It's an African quote. If you
Mhm.
want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
100%. I'm with you on that, yes.
So, and I take that to heart because I call it well, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm independent. So, when I think of things, it's like I can do it from A to Z. I have the server, I can do it all, but it's not fun and it's not easy because then you get to the point where you have to bring people in.
Mhm.
You have to do marketing. You have to, so then that's when you need your team. So it's better just to begin from the beginning to be a team. And then you kind of just get the flow to go. So, I'm very excited. And you're right. The drop, we have to have, because I'm in the Genesis drop. So we have, it's the 6th, right? So it's 2 days. Okay. Because I had thought it was the 11th. So I'm glad I double checked. And it was like, oh, that's coming up soon.
Yeah. No, like I'll be very clear about the date, right?
Okay.
I'm giving a stretch, like it's far enough that if someone doesn't deliver, and that's why I'm having like, if you're on Discord, that's where I communicate with people with that kind of information. So if you're on Twitter, you're not seeing this, but on Discord, I'm asking people to volunteer for last minute opportunities.
Oh, good.
Because we select a group and life happens.
Oh, of course.
Someone says, okay, like could be a death in the family. It could be like, they forgot, people have so much.
Exactly.
It could be anything, but we may not have every piece delivered.
Yeah.
So last minute, I want people to have like, I have the art ready. And if you need, so I have some people that have volunteered and say, I'm looking on being on a B list. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to be in another drop, because that's something that I want to make sure. Everyone that we have approved, it's highly complicated. So I ask people like, please be patient. It's taking a lot of work to assign the tiers and the drops. It's like putting a puzzle together.
Right.
But whenever we accept an application, we want to make sure that that person has at least one drop.
Right. Right.
So they're going to be assigned a drop, and every remaining spot that we have in a certain drop, we're going to give opportunity for people to be multiple drops.
Right.
So of course we don't want the same artist on every drop, because we don't want favoritism.
Yeah.
But we have artists that are very strong in different things, and we want them on several drops. So one drop for certain, a few drops maybe depending on circumstances. Like not everyone fits on several things. Not everyone is able to deliver to several drops, and we don't want to have the same artist on too many drops either. So
right. But this is the perfect time though for artists, and again, we're trying to get them away from having to do it themselves. But I'm encouraged that we can use ArtPack's success, because it's going to be successful, to sell our own work otherwise, because then that puts eyes on you. And then so make sure that when all the artists out there that are going to be included is to position yourself to take advantage of that opportunity, or your name getting out there more.
Oh, absolutely. We want to make sure that we provide the best support for every artist to be successful, even if it's not on the sales of ArtPacks. And like if you have one sale, you have an income that is a guaranteed percentage of the drop. But we want to make sure that you continue being successful.
Right.
So we do have a lot of ideas that we want to implement, but of course, like we're going with the essential and the step by step.
Yeah. It's a slow process, but
yes,
and lots of ideas.
From the beginning, we want to make sure that we have an artist profile, and we're working on several tools to actually make this better for everyone. So one vision is kind of like having the like for the movies, you have the IMBA,
Yes.
So we want in the artist profile that they have the information. Like I'm asking Nick to create a tool to track the sales and to be automatically updated because we want people to see how well that artist has sold already, because that bumps up their sales more.
Yes.
So I want to be able to present
Oh,
that
that's nice.
because I need that for the tiers anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then that way
Yeah,
right.
we're tracking manually, which is insane amount of
Oh
work.
my God. Yeah. But it reminds me of like going back to the team of, if the stats, for a player, right?
Yes.
Because, okay, that player, because if you're a collector, and I'm a collector, if I'm looking at an artist and they're selling, it's like, maybe I should, I can't afford their top piece, but I'm certainly going to try to get one of those ones that is $100.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford $5,000, but I can afford, 100 or whatever it is. So I think that's really important. So that's definitely the right track.
Yes. No, we have a lot of ideas. So just we are not presenting everything because we don't have it yet.
Right.
But
right.
our goal is to continue providing tools that are going to support the artists in anything that they're doing. So we're going to be kind of like a structure that can give strength to keep pushing.
Right.
So that's the goal.
Well, and then tying in, we've partnered with Womenverse, so they've gotten some courses that they're developing, and that goes back to supporting the artists. So, and I'm developing some courses for marketing and things like that. So for artists that are free to all the nifty dreamers, and at this point for anybody. So it's we're trying to take a different, a three-pronged approach. You got the technology, and you got the marketing to help further along, and then to tie into the art packs. Well, it's all coming together.
Yes.
Well, I think, we've been talking. I don't know who else is on. If we've got any questions, we can take a few questions. It's been amazing to talk to you and to learn more about. I mean, we've talked, but we never had a chance. We've always talked about other things. So it's really great to hear about your background and your shows and, your kind of journey throughout art and how you got into NFTs. So I appreciate your time.
Thanks, V. Thanks for having me, and super happy to have you on the team as well.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy too, and just ready to. I am working, so I will get we'll get stuff to you. But yeah, it's exciting, very exciting.
Great.
So, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and we'll be here next week at the same time. Thanks. Bye. Thanks everybody.